all you future apprentices and journeymen. We welcome you to CTA Construction Talks Live. We are here in Elk Grove at the Carpenters Regional Training Center, and we are glad to be here. Just wanted to give you some insight on what virtual construction talks is. It gives us an opportunity to maintain social distancing. It's a series of collaborative outreaches that CTA will host with our multiple partners to ensure that individuals during the pandemic are made aware of training and workforce opportunities in the construction industry. Through construction talks, we ensure that we will help reduce some of the barriers that individuals face attending outreach events. They're no longer a factor. We're meeting them in their homes, and we're bringing construction training and workforce opportunities to them in hopes that through our collaborative efforts, we're able to create multiple workforce opportunities. So grab a piece of paper and a pen, because this is definitely going to be insightful, engaging, and we're looking forward to giving you the inside scoop on the Carpenters. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce some guests that I have here that are going to be providing us with a tour, some of my friends, and I'll have them introduce themselves. But my name is China Hampton. I am with the CTA.
Good afternoon. My name is Vince Sticka. I'm the Director of Training for the Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters.
Good afternoon. My name is Keena McAfee. I'm an assistant coordinator here at the Carpenters Apprentice Program.
And good afternoon. I'm Dan Allen. I'm with Cisco, the Construction Industry Service Corporation, and also have with me.
Hi, I'm Janetta Ryan, the Director of Education to Careers with Cisco, and I am smiling at you.
All right, so Dan, if you could give us some more insight on what Cisco actually is, I think our viewers would like to know.
Sure. So what Cisco is we are a union labor management group. So we're proudly represent all the different union apprentices programs and the union members, men and women that are in all the different 22 different trade unions, as well as the union contractors that have the collaborative agreements with these trade organizations. And one of our many missions is to reach out to young people and to give them information about what it takes to have a successful career in any of these different union apprenticeship programs. And we're proud to be here in one of those, which we'll hear from Vince and Keena on one of the great programs, training centers that we have today.
All right, so come take this tour with us. Vince is going to lead it. I'm going to be asking him questions as we're walking. First thing first, Vince, can you just give us a little bit of insight about the hallway that we're in and where we are now?
Right now, this is our main entrance, and some of the things that you're seeing from floor to ceiling, wall to wall, has been done by our apprentices and by our instructors here at the school. If you keep coming this way, we'll show you some more items.
We may have to step a little closer to the iPad so it's easier for us to then hear us, but that's fine.
This display case right here represents a carpenter that joined the union in 1974. And what you see here is what is called a union button that you get every quarter. So this is from 1974 up until this year, almost 46 years worth of buttons.
And whose buttons are those, Vince?
Unfortunately, those are my.
Now, Vince, as we're walking, just want to ask you and Keena a few questions. How long have you guys been union carpenters?
Well, this is my 46th year.
Wow.
And I went through the apprentice program.
Keena?
I also went through the apprentice program. I'm not nearly as old as Vince. I got in 85, and that's 35 years.
Okay, great.
Now what we're walking into here is our concrete shop. Normally during a training week, we will be jam-packed with people, apprentices, and also there will be quite a few projects going up. One of the things I wanted to tell you right off is in any of the trades that you're interested in, you're going to get a paid education. So when you come to the trades, you're going to get paid to come to school, paid to learn. So it's earn while you learn.
Perfect. And for both of you, what made you choose or find a career opportunities in the Carpenters?
I was volunteering for a community organization in Chicago, and I thought I was doing construction. I got the opportunity through a community organization to come into the Carpenters Apprentice program, and I never looked back. I really liked that you could learn while you're earning money, and I really like the work itself. You got to really like this work in order to really be successful. So,
Thank you.
We're going to go next to an area where we do our residential construction. I'm going to introduce you to one of our lead instructors, John Husnick. And John has gone through the program. He's going to talk a little bit about the residential program. And one of the things that he's going to show you is the technology that we now use in construction. Very, very rare do you see blueprints anymore. Everything is done by programs that represent blueprints, Procore. John will tell you a little bit more about that. So we get a little bit closer, you can see how we do that. And John is going to kind of give you a little overview.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. So one of the main programs that we use to display the projects that our apprentices are going to build is through SketchUp. So we use computer models that give them the exact details on what they need to build for the exact project. For our residential framing class, both of our general construction and interior system trade paths that go through get this class. So all of our apprentices get this, and we build a 12 by 16 half scale house that they can get all of the trade secrets of building a small scale house like that in the shop. We have 3 different projects that go up at the same time, and everybody gets a chance to do everything from setting up a simulated concrete foundation. We do use a wood wall foundation, but we build a 2 by 10 deck along with sheeting that deck, building the walls, and getting it prepared for the roof. In that class, we don't have the time to actually build the roof, just because of time that we have to tear it down and get the shop ready for the next week. But it is as close as we can get to the real world production of doing it here in the shop in a small scale.
So I think that we have time for a question, and we have the experts here. So we're going to do a poll question for the viewers. What is the minimum term for a carpenter apprenticeship? So I think we have 3 answers. We have 10 years, 2 years, and 4 years. So we're going to wait for our viewers to give us the correct and the answer that they think is correct, and then we'll have you, Vince, talk more about what the term of an apprenticeship is, and talk more about, we keep hearing the word apprentice, so talk more about what the application process is, what are the requirements, and give our viewers more insight on, what are the necessary things that they need to do to become a carpenter apprentice. So we're going to give them just a few minutes.
And one of the other things I want to mention is John mentioned there is no roof when we build this house, but when the students come back for more training during their apprenticeship, they start to learn how to do roofs on another display that we will show you later.
Now, Vince, we just got a question in from a viewer. Do these electronic models also show where unstable builds are?
Kind of a funny question. What do you mean by unstable builds?
Well, I guess we can wait for the viewer to give us more insight on unstable builds.
He might mean
Unstable ground and dirt situations that.
Yeah.
We'll get back to it.
Okay.
So we are going to go ahead. All right, so what is the correct answer?
The correct answer for an apprentice is a 4-year term.
Got it.
They
So we
have
got
4 years
50%.
apprenticeship. They become a 5th year. They become a journeyman on the start of their 5th year.
Okay, so 56% of the viewers said 4 years. And so let's talk more about, and we can walk and talk the application process, the requirements. What does it take to be an apprentice? What do I need to do to prepare as I'm waiting at home during the pandemic? What should I get in order to even peak or be available to be a
I'm going to defer that question
Okay.
to Ms. McAfee.
Okay.
She does that every day, and she'll have the exact numbers.
So we have two things. Anybody who's interested in joining our program can either request one of these brochures. This is our How to Apply brochure. But the main thing we ask everyone to do is to go online to our website. Here's our website, www.chicap.org. That's CHICAP.org. And when they go to our website, they're going to click on Apprentice Program, and they'll get a drop-down menu. On that drop-down menu, they'll have to do a couple of things. One is choose their training program. We have several training programs all under the umbrella of the Carpenters. They'll look at videos and they'll look at descriptions of what these different training programs are like, and these different trades under the Carpenters are like, and choose one that fits them best. Some of our training programs have one specific local attached to them. In that case, that local's information will be right on that page. Like our millwrights, we have one millwright local. If you want to be a millwright, you would call that local. Some of our trade programs, like general carpentry, have several different locals. In that case, after you decide you want general carpentry, you would then click on the button for Find Your Local Union. That's right there in the same place on our website under Apprentice Program. You click on that, a map of the area will come up, and you'll choose the local that's closest to you. If you want general carpentry, contact that local. We are currently not accepting applications at this time, but when we are, you contact a local today. When we're accepting applications, we call the locals, and then they start calling people on their list. Once they call you saying you're prepared to come in and join us at the Apprentice Program, you will then look at minimum qualifications. There are some documents that you need to apply to our program. You probably want to do that ahead of time and make sure that you have all the documents ready. So all of that is on our website under Apprentice Program.
Great. So,
And to answer that question that the viewer had, what usually happens is there is a soil test that's done when you're building a house, when you're doing a building, and there's engineers involved in that, and they determine what the land use is going to be. And if there's a problem, sometimes what happens is you have to do some special foundation or some caissons. All that is done by an engineer, and that's also done by another trade that does the excavation, and an architect is involved in that. But usually before you build something, that's all taken care of already, and any changes would be done to the foundation prior to construction.
perfect. And we can continue with our tour, but I think Janetta wanted to give us some information from Cisco.
Yes, if any of the apprenticeships are open, like when the carpenters do, they send out a letter. And whenever any of the trades are open up, if you check our Cisco website, cisco.org, whenever any of them are open, that information's on our homepage.
Perfect. Thank you, Janetta. Now, Tina or Vince, I have one question for you. Now, what tips would you give to an applicant that would be helpful for him or her to be successful in the apprenticeship program or being a journey worker?
Well, one of the things being in the trades, no matter what trade you go into, is you have to have reliable transportation. Your bus and trains are not always going to be reliable. You need some type of reliable car transportation. That's the most important thing. Other than that, it's, this is something, it's a career, it's not a job. So you want to work on your career by going to school, taking extra classes, be on time, learn from your journeyman, learn from even sometimes a first-year apprentice is going to learn something from a fourth-year apprentice. So it's just to, be attentive, be there on time. And if this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, just put 150% into it.
Okay, and we actually got a question from a high school student. How would you get in as a high school senior?
If you're a senior, you could take our test. If we were taking applications, we usually take applications in June.
Okay.
So you could take your test in June, And if you were to pass all the tests, when we call you up to start, you could say, listen, I'm still in high school. And then we would just put you off to the side and you tell us when you graduate, then we get you back on the list.
Perfect. Thank you.
There's also one other thing. It's a very strenuous trade, and our training is strenuous as well. So if you're waiting to get into our program, you might want to take some math classes at a local community college, but you definitely want to get in shape. In shape doesn't mean necessarily paying money and joining a gym. You take the stairs a couple of times every day. Practice with weights or bottles of water at home. So it is very strenuous. So if you can get in very good shape, you'll be in much better position to complete our program.
And you are going to be working in a hot, cold, rain, snow, everything. So you got to be, that's part of being in the trades. So I'm going to introduce you to one of our lead instructors, Brad Rollins. He's going to talk a little bit about heavy gauge framing. It's used mostly in commercial. So he's going to give you a little walkthrough on that.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, so it's heavy gauge metal framing. As Vince said, it's typically used in commercial. It could be done for a house. It's just not that common. I think I'm going to play this video real quick. So this is the project that our students come here and do. It's obviously a time lapse, but you can see what gets done. I think this video is just a couple minutes. We show them typical ways of doing it and more efficient ways as well. And we have plenty more videos on YouTube. Our channel is Carpenters 1256. You could look at a whole bunch of them. Pretty sure we have most of our classes are on there. As far as heavy gauge, everyone has, a better understanding when they can see it in their hands. And this is the project that they do that we just watched. This is just in the half scale so that they can come out here and see exactly how it should be done. And then they transfer over to the full scale. All of our projects that we do in the training center are using full scale, the real stuff, the real drill, the same screws as we would in the field.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
So this is where all the magic happens. So where to next?
We're going to go upstairs and show you the stairs area.
And as we're walking, just wanted to insert another poll question about what is the average earning of a building trade unit. So we can walk in as we're waiting for our folks to respond when we go here.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna give the answers away? All right, guys, so we've got an answer to our question. So 66% say 45,000 and 34% say 100,000. So can you briefly highlight the pay scale?
If you're in the trades, journeyman, and if you are a good craftsman, you keep up your training, you can make upwards of $100,000 a year. And of course, that has to do with the economy.
Mhm.
And also that doesn't count for your health and welfare, your pension, your annuity. So that's even separate from there.
Okay.
So it's a great opportunity.
Great. And we actually got another question. What, and this may be for Kina, but you can answer. What is the average level of math a student should have to be successful in this class?
Okay, when we start out, when we do our testing, we are looking for people that can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of whole numbers and fractions. Now, when you get into the school and you are going from first year to second year, we bring in geometry. Okay, we bring in some trig, but half of the time, our students don't know that we're doing it until we tell them at the end of the week. So you know what you did this week? You did geometry and you did trig.
Wow.
The reason we do that is if we said we're going to do geometry this week, everybody's going to say, oh, I don't know how to do it. So it's surprising what people can learn.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, we're going to go and see the stair class.
Now, we have another question once we get started here. And this is about pre-apprenticeship. So if I can get, and I think that, Dan, you can talk about some pre-apprenticeship courses that are available through some of our partners, but this question said specifically, does the union offer a pre-apprenticeship program for those fresh out of high school?
Every one of our programs is, when you're a carpenter, you go through a 9-week pre-apprentice program.
Okay.
We have a 9-week pre-apprentice program for you. We pay you while you're going through that program, and that gets you started. Once you complete that 9-week program, we assist you in finding a job, and then you come back for a week's training every 3 months for 4 years.
Now, Dan, can you talk about more of the union's pre-apprenticeship courses through the other unions?
Yeah, so like Vincent said before, the unions share a lot of the exact same things. They have this same apprenticeship programs, the same amount of training. It's just a different craft that you're learning. And each one of them has a separate training center and a separate set of rules on, you know, how you get in and how the apprenticeship is structured. So several of the trades do have some programs that are available for high school students and those just out to actually help them to excel at the entrance test and for the entrance processing program. So like Jeanette had said earlier, on our website, we have all the trades listed, and we have the apprenticeship information for each one, and we have that information available as well. So there are a number, and there's a number of other agencies, and you'll talk about it, I'm sure, Ken, at the end, that are doing these programs to help people, especially now during the COVID situation, where they can actually go virtually online, practice the math skills, practice the soft skills. We even got mock interviews that are necessary, so we'll get into that. But there's a lot of information and a lot of assistance available for people that want to get into this industry as careers in the construction industry.
Agreed. So where are we now?
We're in the stair shop, and again, John Husnick is going to talk about the stair curriculum. And I just want to note that when we were downstairs and we're looking at the heavy gauge, the heavy gauge is set up the same way so that you can see how it's built. We can twist and turn. So somebody that has trouble visualizing, all our classes are equipped to do that. So John, we're going to let you take over.
Thanks, Vince. So I do have a couple of the SketchUp models, which we'll zoom in on in a minute, but we'll talk about each of the projects that they build. So we start out with a basic open stringer stair. And in our first stairs class, we go through all the calculations that are needed determine the correct rising height and tread cut that will pass code. Because the most important thing with stairs is safety. We want to be able to get up and down from different floors of our houses or our buildings safely. We can't have different step heights, different step widths. So we go through all the correct codes to make sure that everyone can get up and down safely. And then after we get through all the calculations, we start doing the projects. And then we do different styles of projects with different finishes. We go from an open stringer to a closed stringer, and then something with more of a finished stair where it's a mitered riser and there is no end grain shown on the riser as we go up the stair. And then the last project for our Stairs 1 class is a combination stair, which does an open riser on one side and a closed riser on the other. And then when we move into the second stairs class for our general construction students, they get into building winders and the correct calculations for changing directions in stairs. So now if we look at the SketchUp drawings, you can see really quickly, I've got 2 of the different projects playing. We have those on a constant loop as the students progress through each week. Obviously, everyone in the class doesn't go through at the same pace. So we're able to come through and pause, right? And we can look at different scenes that we need to, whoops, right? We can go specifically to a scene to be able to see which step we're on and learn visually along with looking at the mock-up of the size that they're going to build. These are small scale projects that we do. Obviously, we want to be a little more efficient with our material that we're buying. So it's not the full 2x material, but the calculations are the same and the application of building them are the same as doing it full scale, just a little more efficient to do with 1x material as opposed to 2x material.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go over in rafter, and Brad is going to show us a little bit about rafters. And as I mentioned when we were in the residential framing shop, that at some point after you do residential framing, you're going to be learning how to do rafters. We have a metal rafter class and a wood rafter class.
So as we're walking to the rafters, Vincent and Ken, I think that you guys can answer this. What was or is the most difficult part of this career? If there's any.
Yeah, one thing is to stay working. To stay working, carpenters, like all of the trades, need to be as good an employee as you are a craftsperson. So all of our people need to show up every day on time. Sometimes our contractors need us to stay late. We work overtime. We do what's necessary to get the job done safely. But if you're the kind of person where your family has to tell you the wedding starts at noon when it really starts at 2, this is not the industry for you. It's all about being on time, giving 110% for our contractors. And it's difficult to stay working if you're not that, 110% kind of person.
And you need to keep up your education. Not only do we teach apprentice classes here, but we also, on the evenings and Saturdays, we call them journeyman upgrade classes or skill advancement classes. So it's constantly changing. Where someone 10 years ago looked at blueprints on a piece of paper, now we're using programs for that. And so you have to learn how to do that. The instruments are different that we're using, the tools are different. So you really got to keep up on your trade.
And we got a question from a viewer about the stair classes. How long are they? You mentioned class 1 and class 2. So what is the length of them?
So each class is a week. So like Mr. Sticka talked about, the apprentices come back for a total of 13 classes throughout their apprenticeship. So they come for the first 3 years to 4 classes per year. And in their 4th year, they only have 1 class, but each class is all Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And they complete 1 class per calendar quarter. So each calendar quarter, you work for 12 weeks and you come to school for 1 week.
And also too is if you took a class, no matter what class it was, and you felt that you really didn't grasp it the way you wanted to, you could take that class over again on the evenings or the weekends. So I always tell students, they say, well, I don't really think I got it this week. I don't think I could do this on my own. I always say, take the class over. And don't be ashamed to take it a third time. So that opportunity is there for you. And again, as a member, there's no cost for any of those classes.
We could just show this real quick. So in our apprenticeship, they're choosing either general construction or commercial. And up here is metal rafters. So this is just showing our cut rafters project. The project on the left-hand side it's the first one and is a gable roof. And then as we proceed through the week, it goes into a hip roof, which is shown on the right-hand side of that screen. In the beginning of the week, we do go through a couple different kinds of truss projects. Those being, there's one project laying right over here. Those are the pieces, so that they would come already pre-made and we would lift those with a crane. So we simulate that class up here. Downstairs is the wood rafters, and I assume we'll get down there in a little bit.
Okay. So I think that we want to talk, well, we can head downstairs.
Let's go this way, Trent.
Oh, this way? And I think this is a question that I want to ask Dan, Vince, Janetta, Tina. What is the most rewarding part of your career as a carpenter, or just the most rewarding part of the trades itself?
I think one of the most rewarding things is when you work in the trades, you're telling your kids, your wife, your friends, if you happen to be going somewhere and you're in the car, you say, that building right there, I worked at that building for 2 years. And I did the stairs there, or I did the trim. The other thing is, just recently, the Wrigley Field, in the last 5 years, has been completely redone. So anybody that worked at Wrigley Field is going to be telling their grandchildren that they were part of changing that. And every building that you build downtown, it's something that you always remember, and you brag about it. If you do something at your house, you brag about what you could do. One of the things we do is we build wealth. So everything we build, it's creating wealth. A building downtown that is an office building, they're getting rents. If it's a condominium, or if it's an apartment building, it's creating wealth. So that building can be 100 years old, but it's still generating money.
Okay. Also, just to look up a little bit, what you learn when you go through a trade, nobody can take that away from you. So these were before just flat grid ceilings. Some of our instructors just let loose with their imagination. Director just said, cut loose. And they just create all kinds of things. You can do this at home, you can do this at work. When you learn something as a carpenter, nobody can take that away from you. And we can walk through this way and you can actually see how our instructors use their imagination to create all kinds of things in the ceiling. Also, one of the most important things about being in the trades is health and welfare and our benefits. So my husband and my son, I raised them both on my benefits from the trade, medical benefits, and looking forward to retiring. So,
I think too, with all the trades, it's the education portion that you're getting. I mean, these are skilled craftsmen. It's, when you hear there's a big shortage of construction workers, it's the $7 an hour jack of all trades.
So we're going to show you some of the special rooms that our instructors and staff have done over the years. So there's a lot of times we'll do a room and then 5-10 years later we'll do it over. This one is a very interesting room with the coffered ceilings.
So I don't think we got a chance to ask Dan, dealing with all the trades, what is the most rewarding part about being in the construction industry?
Well, a lot of them, Vince and Keena hit on the pride that the tradesmen and women have in building amazing buildings and amazing infrastructures. And the other thing is, like Vince showed us 41-year pins that he had. That's his career. So in it, most tradesmen and women, in the back pocket, they'll pull out a picture of their family first, and then the next thing will be their union card. And the reason why, it's why they were able to provide for their wives and their children and their aging parents and their community and give back, because they are able to learn to have a career for life where they're able to support themselves, their family, and be participating members of the community.
Now,
And that's another proud thing that the unions do, is they do all kinds of outreach to the community. You've seen here Built to Last is a show that's on, showing how they're helping veterans, how they're helping them, how they're helping seniors, how they're helping in impoverished areas, to lend their trade, to all the trades come together, lend their crafts and their skills to build these communities and to be good members of the community and make it strong from the bottom up.
what about MPA? We can walk and talk about that. Can you give us more insight on just how that's rewarding for a lot of the trade members to be a part of the alternative care facility? So he's showing it. They can still hear us.
So I think you're seeing a video, a quick time-lapse video of just one of the 3 hospitals that were built. And MPA, we all know that is McCormick Place. So just 2 months ago, before this COVID hit, there was probably 50, 75,000, 100,000 people in that trade center seeing the car show. The skilled tradesmen and women of all the different trades came together in record time to make a 3,000 bed hospital there. And the carpenters building the walls and the structure safely. The ventilation, the sheet metal and ventilation coming in. They had to purify air. They had to bring 3 sources of electrical power so that ventilators would have a backup source. And they came together and built this amazing thing to help that in a specialized working like we always do, together as a team with the doctors and the infection control people to help save the overcrowded, frontline workers that are working in the hospitals. So that's an incredible proud moment for these tradesmen and women that work there. They were overwhelmed looking down and seeing what they did to help, overlead the frontline workers and to keep people safe.
Perfect. All right. So we are, and Vince, you can take it over from here. This is a part of what they did with MPA, correct? So this is kind of some of the training that individuals get prior to setting up different things for the hospitals. Can you guys just give us some insight? This is a really cool room.
This is we call this ICRA. So it's Infection Control Risk Assessment. And what we found about 8 years ago was when you're working at a hospital is open 24 hours a day. There's patients in there while you're working. So what we did is we came up with a program on how to protect those patients, doctors, nurses, staff, while we're working. There's a lot of times you go into a hospital for minor surgery and you get a secondary infection and it puts you down. So we started this program, like I say, 8 years ago. All our carpenters go through this. It's what they call a certification class, how to work in hospitals. We actually you may have seen the video. We partition off areas. We filter the air. We are triple checked by the hospital to make sure that we're not putting out in contaminants. This is a class that is very valuable, especially today with our pandemic.
And especially talking about and mentioning pandemic, union work versus non-union work. I want you guys, the union experts, to set the record straight on the importance of union work, being a part of a union. What is important? And we actually have a question before. Are drug tests required for participation?
Yes, they are. We have a drug-free work force. So just like Vince was talking about, Tina, on time, on that, being the best employee. This is dangerous and important work, as we've been seeing, and it's 100% you have to be drug-free.
And as far as a difference between non-union and union, first of all, the biggest difference is they don't have a training program. There is no apprenticeship program. How do they learn their trade? The other thing is we have a great health care. We have an annuity. We also have a pension. So after you work 35, 40 years, you've got something to look forward to that is going to be in your golden years, in other words. You've got something coming in, and previous to that, you had all health care for your family, your kids. You didn't have to worry if somebody got sick. And also the wages. You have negotiated wages, and those wages are sometimes 3 times what a non-union person will make.
And especially the education, you can go to, and I'm not going to mention the school, for an electrical program for I think 12 weeks for almost $40,000. Or you could go to the electricians union, learn for 5 years for nothing. And when you think about it, who would you want putting your electricity in your house? Who would you want? Would you want a carpenter that had 6 weeks of training or a 4-year skill career?
And in every one of these trades, you get a Illinois Department of Labor certified apprenticeship program. And people think just because someone's got a truck that he or she knows how to build the walls, knows how to put in electrical, knows how to put in ventilation systems like this in this hospital. The non-union, non-trade would not even be allowed in a hospital. They're not going to be allowed in any of these buildings. Yet they can do the damage. As a former inspector, I saw firsthand what unskilled tradespeople, they're not even tradespeople, handymen do. And it's not pretty. People die, people get hurt. The other part is the safety and the training that goes hand in hand, the cutting edge technology that the union contractors and the union trade schools put together here and then do this. We're in what's the second largest privately funded educational system in the country is what the union trades are. Second largest privately funded educational system. So that by head, ho, and over heels, this is it. And I'll tell you what, this pandemic and seeing how important essential workers are, all essential workers, there's going to be a newfound respect for this industry and many others of working people. And our skills are going to be in demand going forward. So it's a great time to enter into it. It really is.
And we can walk through if we can and just
Maybe,
check
maybe he can give a introduction about what we do in this class and how we train our apprentices to be safe and work safely.
Okay, so in this class, obviously we see all the different, what would be rooms for patients. They're going to be taught how to set up both a hard wall, we call it a hard wall, that's going to be made out of metal studs and drywall. Probably going to be up for a little bit longer than a day. The other one would be a soft wall, and it would be made out of plastic. And then in both of those, we're setting up ways to filter out the air, whether it be a negative air pressure room, whatever that specific room needs is what we're going to do.
And just in general, if this were an open hospital and we needed to drill a hole in the wall, go into the ceiling, we would be releasing mold and mildew that would be in the wall. Our apprentices learn how to completely seal off this room before you go into a wall, put it under negative pressure, and monitor to make sure it's under negative pressure. So any molds or dust or anything that gets released does not come out and infect anybody in the hospital. There could be molds released just from drilling in a wall that you as a healthy person would just cough and be on your way. But somebody who's immune compromised and taking chemotherapy, it could kill them. So our apprentices are taught how to do this safely, how to keep everybody in the hospital safe and alive at the end of their stay.
So we have a video that we want to show, and Vince can talk more about it. It's from the Carpenters Union Secretary, just about what's going on during the pandemic, how you guys are maintaining safety. So we're going to play that video, and then after that video, Vince is going to expound more on just kind of what's going on there and what ways that you guys are ensuring that we remain essential and that you guys are staying safe.
Start.
I'm Gary Perinar, Executive Secretary Treasurer of the Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank our union brothers and sisters for the essential work they're doing during this time of need. Working with our federal, state, and local government, our members are keeping communities safe by building healthcare facilities, housing, and other infrastructure necessary to stop the spread of COVID-19. Monitoring our members' health and safety is our top priority, which is why we are working closely with our contractors to make sure our job sites are following CDC regulations, providing the necessary protections to reduce the transmission of COVID-19. Our 30,000 members know our union has their back every step of the way during this crisis. Our strength gives us a collective voice to protect the rights and safety of working families. The Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters will get through this unprecedented time galvanized as one. While we are strong alone, we are unstoppable together.
All right, thank you. So, Vince, can you talk more about what you guys are doing in the pandemic? And then we have a few questions after you just explain what you guys talked about in the video.
Sure. As Dan had mentioned, as our carpenters, along with other trades, put together the rooms and partitions over at McCormick Place. We also did some work at Sherman Hospital. We also did work at Westlake Hospital. And to get that ready for patients with COVID. We have not had to use many, great, but yet if we did not have that training, like this ICRA training, we would not be able to help out and with this pandemic. So by having these classes, having our members take these classes, having them take their safety classes, we're a step above.
And so we got a question from a viewer in regards to how has the pandemic affected instructions, online learning in the meantime, and this is for both you and Dan and Janetta. Just hearing from some of the other trades too, but.
We have instituted some of the training that we do online is mostly safety training for right now. It's kind of hard to do a class on stairs or rafters online. We could do the theory part about it, but we couldn't really do the actual building of those stairs. So we are doing classes that are virtual classes, but they're not, you're not building anything for right now. So we are keeping up with that.
Okay. Dan, have you heard from some of the other trades, Janetta?
So the training has been going online on other trades as well, but just like Vince said, we can't wait to get back into the schools where it's on. And as far as also, as you were talking about Hire 360, they've got virtual training that's going on now for wannabe applicants into the apprenticeship program.
Okay, and last question, and again, if you guys did not get an opportunity to ask your questions because we are running short on time, please feel free to email us at workforceinitiatives@transitchicago.com. The last question that we got from a viewer is, can the letter from the Department of Labor be used for taking the apprentice test, or do I still need a local's approval?
You still need a local's approval. The Department of Labor is just takes care of apprenticeship programs. And when you become a journeyman, you get a Department of Labor certificate stating that you're a journeyman. And some of the trades, you're licensed. A plumber has to be licensed. Electrician has to be licensed. So not only are you a plumber or electrician, but you're a licensed electrician and plumber.
Okay. Now, and this was a question that we polled, are more women needed in the Carpenters Union? And we had our viewers poll it, they said 100% more women are definitely needed in the Carpenters Union.
Yeah, they should really look into it. It's a job for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a male or female. We had our veterans coming in, male and female veterans. If this is something you want to do, give it a try.
Perfect. So this is the end of our construction talks. We just want to say a few thank you. Thank you to the Carpenters Regional Council for actually having us out here today to do an inside tour of their training facility. Thank you to Cisco for assisting us with getting folks together and getting them ready and providing the insight that's necessary. but I have to do a shameless plug for CTA. So the Chicago Transit Authority has embarked upon our $2.1 billion RPM project, where we are looking to provide a plethora of jobs in the construction industry. The RPM project is the Red Purple Modernization Project. We are partnering with Hire 360 and the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, where they are willing to help train and ensure that individuals are granted opportunities to work on CTA's RPM project. So if you're looking at the screen right now, click that link, go to the link, see what they have to offer, and we'd love to see you. I can't wait to see you on the RPM project. But as for now, this is our construction talk is ending for today. Please feel free to tune in next week. We'll have another special guest for construction talks, same time at 12 p.m. on Friday. And we look forward to talking more to you about careers in the construction industry.